After Sebastian Vettel ignited F1's silly season by announcing his retirement, his fellow world champion Fernando Alonso ramped it up on Saturday night in Hungary by signing a deal with billionaire Lawrence Stroll to join Aston Martin for 2023. Alpine was taken aback. They hoped the Spaniard would return for a third season, but they were unwilling to offer him a straight 2-year contract. The best option was a 1-year contract with an option. Alonso desired more stability because he believed he deserved it, so he accepted the Aston Martin offer. Alpine team principal Otmar Szafnauer first heard about it when he saw the Aston Martin press release announcing the Spaniard's multi-year contract. Alpine now had an open seat for next season alongside Esteban Ocon, who is under contract until the end of 2024. Alpine was irritated by how the Alonso news unfolded. They had, after all, offered the double world champion a return to the sport at the start of 2021 with a multi-year contract that would see him enjoy a third stint at the ASTON operation, and felt he was eager to continue the partnership. However, in one way, his departure made life easy for the French manufacturer. They were attempting to keep Alonso for a little longer, while also getting their highly rated reserve Oscar Piastri into a race seat at the right time. They planned to give last year's F2 champion Piastri a year off the grid in 2023 before bringing him back for 2024. That proved difficult, and the entire saga had dragged on longer than expected, which has irritated both Alonso and Piastri. With Alonso gone, Alpine went to Plan B, which was to promote Piastri a year earlier than planned. But there was a problem. The Australian, it is believed, has another option on the grid and would prefer to pursue it rather than join Alpine. Alpine believes Piastri is their driver and has provided financial support as well as an extensive private test program to prepare him for his F1 debut. Alpine announced Piastri in a press release following the Hungarian Grand Prix. However, Piastri dropped the bombshell a few hours later. I understand that, without my agreement, Alpine F1 have put out a press release late this afternoon that I'm driving for them next year. This is wrong, and I have not signed a contract with Alpine for 2023. I will not be driving for Alpine next year. And now the race for the most sought-after rookie has begun. But what is it about Oscar Piastri that makes him such an attractive option for the grid? And what is his future in the sport? Let's take a look. Born in Melbourne, Australia, Piastri began karting in 2011. He began to work his way up through races in Australia and Europe, notably finishing third in the Australian Kart Championship in 2015. The following year, he graduated from karts to the Formula 4 UAE Championship, thanks to the sponsorship from his father's company, HB Tuners. Piastri later relocated to the United Kingdom to compete in the Formula 4 British Championship, finishing second in 2017. The Australian went on to win his first major racing championship in 2019 when he won the Formula Renault Euro Cup season. He advanced to Formula 3 in 2020, followed by a move to Formula 2 in 2021. And for the time being, he is serving as Alpine's reserve driver. So, what's the big deal? Well, Piastri has long been regarded as one of motorsport's most talented youngsters. Piastri won 3 single-seater championships in a row from 2019, while his feat of back-to-back Formula 3 and Formula 2 titles is one only achieved before by Charles Leclerc and George Russell. But, unlike Leclerc and Russell, Piastri had to settle for a seat in F1 in 2022, and we all see how that worked out for Alpine. In 2021, he achieved his greatest success. Of course, after winning titles in Formula Renault and F3, big things were expected of the young Australian, but he has still managed to exceed all expectations. Piastri won his 3rd consecutive Junior Series title after dominating 2022 Alfa Romeo Formula 1 driver Zhou Guanyu and his more experienced Prima teammate Robert Schwartzman in his debut season. The Australian hotshot established himself early on as Prima's best hope for the title, rather than 2020's highest returnee and his predecessor as FIA Formula 3 champion Schwartzman, and was never challenged after taking the lead at Silverstone. René Rosen, head of the Prima team, said Piastri has done an outstanding job of replicating the feat of the team's previous rookie champion Charles Leclerc. Although his abilities were well known to the Italian team, having won the 2020 F3 title with Prima, Rosen described his achievements as incredible, especially in a season that featured long gaps between rounds and a revamped format of 3 races per weekend, including 2 reversed grid sprints. Rosen stated shortly after Piastri's F2 triumph, For sure, his consistency, his approach has been an important part of the result. He's been able to adapt in a championship that I would definitely rate very difficult from the type of format and having this big gap, especially for a rookie, a lot of waiting time. But I will say he has done a remarkable job. His consistency, being able to come out from the difficult situation, even when he doesn't know the circuit, being quick to learn the circuit in free practice to be okay in quali, is the very strong point for the season. Now, let's talk about the drama. Alpine remains adamant it has a valid contract with Oscar Piastri, despite the Australian denying it. But since Piastri's extraordinary statement, no official Alpine statement has been issued, but the team remains confident it's in legal position. Simultaneously, Piastri's management, which includes ex-F1 driver Mark Webber, is clearly convinced that it has the authority to pursue a deal elsewhere. Alpine team principal Otmar Szafnauer stated shortly after the saga began that attempts to contact Piastri's management had been futile. Some contact is believed to have been made since then, but this does not necessarily imply that a resolution is imminent. Given the strong positions of both parties, the matter may end up before the Contract Recognition Board. The CRB has the final say on team and driver disputes and the authority to levy financial penalties and enforce contracts in either party's favor. It's the path Jenson Button took in 2004 to get out of his Bar Honda contract and join Williams. Regardless of how hard Alpine fights for Oscar Piastri, it is clear that the team must now consider fallback options for its vacant 2023 Formula One seat. And because the options are limited, Daniel Ricciardo is the obvious choice, especially given Piastri's planned move to McLaren in Ricciardo's place. However, signing Ricciardo for 2023 would be a much bigger risk than when Renault paid him $25 million per year for his services in 2019 and 2020. The problem is that after being hired at great expense by the then Renault organization to lead the team into the future, Ricciardo decided to leave early in his second season in 2020 to join McLaren for 2021. That decision was not well received in the Renault camp, and even though the team management has changed, with Cyril Abiteboul gone and Szafnauer and Laurent Rossi in charge, it could still be an issue. But when asked about Ricciardo, Szafnauer compared the situation to Alonso's ability to return to teams, and insisted that the team's priority was to find the right drivers to help it in its 100-race plan to get to the front of the field. I mean, if you look at Fernando, for example, he comes and goes, and I think that happens to other drivers too. And I don't think that that's an issue at all. I think what we need to focus on is, like I say, the plans that we have for the next 89, 88 races. We've got to make sure that we complement the plan with the best driver that we can. And there are some options out there for us, and we put the best driver in next to Esteban Ocon so that we can move forward towards what we've been planning. As Ricciardo's struggles have continued, McLaren's interest in Piastri has grown. It is also believed that Ricciardo was informed of McLaren's interest in Oscar Piastri during the Hungary weekend. Ricciardo's contract for 2023 has been made clear in recent months, and he would need to be paid off or otherwise persuaded to leave. Accepting Ricciardo's departure is one hurdle McLaren must overcome. The other is being certain that Piastri is available to replace him. Alpine still believes it has a case to present to the CRB because it has its own contract to present. And neither McLaren nor Ricciardo, who has previously stated that he will honor his contract, has confirmed that he will leave the team at the end of the year. If Ricciardo does not agree to a payoff, he may continue to race in 2023, with Piastri serving as a reserve driver for one more year before taking over in 2024. However, because McLaren's focus has shifted to Piastri, the team will most likely do whatever it takes to get him in the car. While McLaren's car has flaws and hasn't achieved everything it wanted this season, Ricciardo is underperforming in comparison to Norris. Given that McLaren pays for a lead driver, these results never seem sustainable. McLaren's focus has shifted to determining what is the better long-term bet, and it has clearly concluded that Piastri fits well with its plan of being in the best possible position by 2024, by which time it will have the facilities to match its ambitions. The 2024 car will most likely be the first to benefit from a new wind tunnel and simulator. McLaren wants to be fighting the top teams on a regular basis, not competing with Alpine for the best of the rest. What are your thoughts? How will the Piastri saga conclude? Which team will win over the coveted Australian? Do you believe he'll be a force to be reckoned with once he gets his hands on an F1 seat? Let us know in the comments.